Students by now should be able to count to 100. Okay? So don't put more on them than what they need to know. Students in kindergarten should be able to count up to 100. Okay? They should recognize numbers up to 100. Okay? So if your kindergarten students can't do this, that's what you need to be practicing on. Recognizing numbers up to 100. Notice I didn't say add or subtract numbers up to 100, but they should be able to count up to 100 and be able to recognize numbers up to 100. Okay? Now, as far as adding and subtracting, yes, they should be able to do to complete adding problems and subtracting problems. Okay? They should be able to add and subtract up to, we'll say, it's really 19, but we'll say up to 20. Okay? So they should be able to add numbers up to 20. It's really to 19. But sometimes if your students are smart enough, they can add up to 20. Okay? So any numbers combining numbers up to 19, we'll say 19 to be on the safe side, because the standard calls for them to be able to count up to 19. Okay? And to add numbers and subtract. So if they have, for example, for addition, you could say 10 plus 5. They should be able to do that. Okay? The same way for subtraction. 10 minus 5. They should be able to do that. A lot of times you like for your students to learn the addition and subtraction facts by memory. And that's fine. But as long as they can calculate it, if you use beads or any kind of manipulatives in order for them to be able to add or subtract, that's fine. I don't get into all of that as far as them memorizing their subtraction facts or memorizing their addition facts. But they should be able to use a manipulative in order to get this done. Okay? Another thing that you need to work on is it's called calendar math. Okay? It's called calendar math. Students in kindergarten should be doing calendar math every day. So you can go online, Google calendar math. So you can see examples. Some teachers do different things for calendar math, what the day of the week is, what month it is, the date, the actual date using the numbers, and all sorts of things. They have a number of the day or a number of the week. So they should be able to do calendar math, adding and subtracting up to 20 or 19. We'll say 19. I gave you examples. And they should be able to count up to 100 and recognize the numbers up to 100. So far, your students should be fluent in these areas. Now, to make it more advanced, you can throw in a little Algebra 1, and I'll give an example, and I'm holding my phone and talking at the same time. A little Algebra 1 would be 4 plus something equals 7. Okay? So you can give them a blank space to see if they recognize it. Also, write it both ways so that they can see the equal sign in the front and in the back. Let them practice that. Okay? I would start off low when you get into a missing a variable problem. Start off with the low numbers under 10 and then work your way up to 19 or 20. For this particular skill. Okay? So, kindergarten parents, you got some things to work on. Making sure your students can count up to 100. Making sure they recognize numbers up to 100. Adding and subtracting up to 19 really, but I say up to 20. And I gave you examples of addition and subtraction problems and working on calendar math. You can make your own calendar math document by just Googling pictures of calendar math for kindergartens, and you'll get a whole bunch of examples. And I'm going to put some red stars by this Algebra 1 information. If your students are advanced enough where you can have a missing variable in there, let them practice this. What's missing to make that true? Because that teaches them that this equal sign is important. What's on the left equals the right, even though it does not look the same. Because most times, students with equal signs think that equal signs should be only that. And that's true, but not necessary. Okay? Sometimes 6 plus 1, can be equal to 5 plus 2. That's what we're getting. Okay? I'll show it right there. 6 plus 1 could be equal to 5 plus 2. And I'm in my bedroom in a confined space, so. Okay? So that's what we're getting to. So if your kindergartner can find the missing number, I'll put a question mark here. If they can find the missing number with the equal sign in the back and the front, that's some good practice for them. Definitely good practice if they are already fluent with their addition and subtraction or can figure it out. And remember, they don't have to memorize their addition or subtraction. You could get some beads, some blocks, animal crackers, M&Ms, anything to work with them on addition and subtraction. But they got to recognize their numbers also. So you can make your own counting chart from 1 to 100, or break it up. You can do 1 through 10, 10 through 20, 20 through 30, 30 through 40, 40 through 50, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up to 100, and then combine it all together. Okay? And if they practice counting up to 100 every day, eventually they will memorize what numbers come in which sequence, because we'll get to that later. But basically, up until now, up until March, starting from August, these are the skills that your students should be fluent in. If you have any questions, inbox me, okay? And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. I know teaching math can be frustrating, but it's kindergarten, you guys. You can teach kindergarten math. It's not hard. Okay? Be patient with your student, and remember, they cannot do what they do not know. So you have to give them sufficient practice. Teaching it one time won't work. You got to remediate and give them sufficient practice, and you have to let them see it over and over and over and over again. Okay? If you have any questions, inbox me. Thank you so much.